you talked a little bit about CRT. You talked a little bit about DEI. Um, the way that race has been weaponized on the right as a rallying cry. I'll ask you a question that ensnared Kamala Harris, friend of yours, ensnared Jim Clyburn, but a question that I never see mainstream white political figures asked. Do you think America's a racist country?
That's a tough one. I mean, it's a loaded question in this respect. It's an easy question, right, from your perspective, from many people's perspectives, and it should be an easy question to answer. I think, I mean, racism persists in extraordinary ways. Institutionally, it's certainly enshrined in so many ways, and we've been trying to unpack that in deeply meaningful ways. And we're constantly dealing and battling with racism on a daily basis. And we're seeing the assault and the weaponization of race as it relates to all these anti-woke and DEI efforts coming in the Trump administration. So, yes, there are deeply racist things that are going on all across the United States of America. Do I think fundamentally in our core, and that's why it goes to a more loaded and difficult question, I think the vast, overwhelming majority of people don't believe that they're racist, and don't honestly believe that this is a racist country, and that's challenging. And how we can communicate a more situational awareness. Are you paying attention to what's going on? What's happening out there? Who's getting pulled over? Who's actually being prosecuted and who's not? Um, what's happening with these laws and how they're implemented and effectuated, who they advantage and who they disadvantage. The fact that we've never fully come to grips with our past. And I think that's the balancing act for all of us, is how we're able to have that conversation and bring people over, as opposed to point fingers and say, you are racist, and then we turn people off.
The reason why I asked, Governor, is because I think it's actually a really important conversation. I'll tell you why. So here in Los Angeles County, or in Los Angeles, you have the median wealth of a Black and Latino family at around, I think, $4,000. The median wealth of a white family is around $388,000. If not for a fundamental, systemic racial issue, these disparities exist everywhere. I can point them out. We've talked about them here on the podcast. In Boston, it's $8 to $285,000. In Baltimore, it's $80,000 to $0 worth of wealth for Black people. If not for intense, prolonged, systemic racism, where a system in a country picks winners and losers, how do you explain that disparity?
No, that's why I was out there signing the Bruce's Beach law. That's why I signed the first reparations bill in the United States of America. You're talking to the governor that literally led that. I just signed a bill 2 days ago with the Black Caucus as it relates to creating a new office to address these systemic issues, and I've been very progressive in terms of the bills that I've promoted, not just signed, to start to unpack all of those issues. I couldn't agree more. That's why I referenced a moment ago these systemic issues that are real, and the fact that we fundamentally have not come to grips with that past. And that's why I took my kids to the South for spring break 2 years ago, to get them to understand the world they're living in. That persists to this day. And that's why I highlighted the assault that Donald Trump and guys like Ron DeSantis have advanced in this country, continue to advance, which again is a war on Black folks disproportionately. Again, that's why I said anti-woke is nothing more than anti-Black. So I don't disagree with all that. And so we have to own a response to that.
Is there a way to answer yes to that question? But then also, because sometimes I'll tell you how I really feel. And you know what? I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you not wearing the suit. And, it feels like we can talk. We're talking. We're talking. We're trying to figure out what we're doing in the future. We're talking. The reason why, for a lot of people, it's important for that, for someone to say yes to that question. I understand what the situation that Vice President Harris was in, that
Remind me, what did she say exactly to that question? I can't honestly don't remember.
She said no.
She said no.
Yeah,
she said no.
But
and I think for a lot of when I was trying to unpack the response, for many of those reasons, right?
But if I may,
forgive me.
Yeah. But the reason why it's important is because we know that it is, right? Like, we know that it is. We know that the foundation of the country was racism in America is older than America. Like my ancestors were enslaved here before the English expatriates here decided to start their own country. And our utility in America has never, ever, ever been about our genius, about our perseverance, about our ability to achieve in the country. We've done all of that in spite of an effort on the soil where we exist to minimize us and kill us. And it seems as if we can't quite reconcile that if we don't agree that is a thing. So sometimes when we're having conversations, and I know it's a fiery thing and it's an incendiary deal, but sometimes we just want to be like, yeah, it is, but it doesn't always have to be. But if we can't do the first part, it doesn't seem like we can do the second.
No, I hear you. No, I mean, I think, my response reflects that deeper understanding of the structural issues and the institutional issues that we're trying to unwind in real time. And so I think it's an active effort to sort of unpack that and also find some responsibility and accountability in the process.
Yeah.
And that I think, look, we're hardly perfect, but I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve in California in that respect. And we've led the country in that respect, trying to own up to that past and the sins of the past and present and fight the war and the assault on the Black community and the racist policies that are being emanated out of this White House, including the Supreme Court that said you can racially profile people on the streets and goddamn sidewalks on the basis of their skin color in the shadow docket. Literally, that just happened in 2025. So it's not just 1825.
Yeah.
To your point. So no, I hear you deeply. And I don't want to suggest that I'm walking away from that. Quite the contrary. I'm taking responsibility and ownership to try to address those issues in a meaningful and substantive way. Is imperfect and is inadequate often as we are, or I am certainly, to the task.